In Formula One, dominance isn't just measured by speed, it's measured by consistency, by control, by the ability to stay ahead, not just of your rivals, but of the chaos that inevitably surrounds elite competition. For the better part of 2 years, Red Bull had that dominance. They weren't just winning races, they were defining an era. But all of that has come to a jarring halt. And it's not just the results that are damning, it's the reaction from inside the team. Christian Horner, the man who sat at the helm of Red Bull Racing for nearly 2 decades, is no stranger to controversy. But what he said after the Austrian Grand Prix crossed into new territory. He didn't just praise McLaren's performance, he raised suspicions. Horner spoke with uncharacteristic sharpness about the MCL39's tire behavior, calling it truly impressive and almost unreal. His most vivid line, that Oscar Piastri was making love to Lando Norris's exhaust pipe, lap after lap without a hint of tire degradation. For most team principals, that might come across as a colorful way to describe clean team racing. But coming from Horner, a man known for strategic deflections and subtle digs, it sounded like something else entirely, an accusation wrapped in admiration. And when you look at the bigger picture, the weight of his words starts to make sense. Because for the first time in years, Red Bull is not just being outperformed, they're being exposed. Austria was supposed to be a homecoming, a fortress, but what unfolded instead was a surgical dismantling of Red Bull's myth. McLaren didn't just beat them, they humiliated them. 1-2 on Red Bull's own turf, with Norris and Piastri looking unshakably calm, while the RB21 flailed, with undrivable balance, ineffective upgrades, and zero grip. Max Verstappen didn't even get the chance to show what he had, taken out on lap 1. But even if he hadn't, there's little evidence the car had the pace to challenge McLaren. Anyway, it's not just a bad race, it's a turning point. Because behind the scenes, Red Bull is unraveling. The departures of Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley weren't just routine personnel changes, they were seismic losses. The team that once built near-perfect machines, from simulation to track, now finds itself struggling to translate factory data into race day results. And when performance drops, blame rises. The scapegoat is almost always the one holding the reins. Horner's comments about McLaren may seem like an attempt to redirect the narrative, but in truth they shine a spotlight on Red Bull's own crisis. Because when the best car on the grid becomes unmanageable, and the best driver on the grid starts thinking about leaving, the issue isn't your rival's brilliance, it's your own collapse. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is McLaren's success too good to be true? Red Bull seems to think so. In F1, sudden leaps in performance always raise eyebrows, but when a car shows zero tire degradation over long stints, effortlessly maintains balance through long corners, and avoids the typical dirty air chaos when following closely, all while keeping 2 drivers in the top 2 spots of the podium, it's not just impressive, it's suspicious. Christian Horner's public musings about McLaren's tire performance may have sounded casual, but behind the scenes they are anything but. Sources close to the FIA have quietly hinted that an informal technical inquiry may be launched, not necessarily because anyone believes McLaren is breaking the rules, but because the advantage they've unlocked is so significant, so immediate, that it demands scrutiny. And Horner knows exactly how to prompt such scrutiny. He's done it before. Let's be clear. There's no concrete evidence of wrongdoing by McLaren, no protest, no disqualification. Not yet. But in Formula One, perception is power. If Red Bull can see doubt if they can push the FIA to investigate even the smallest technical interpretation, then they might buy themselves time. Time to catch up. Time to regroup. Time to survive. Because right now, they don't just lack pace, they lack answers. What's most troubling for Red Bull is the consistency of McLaren's advantage. Their tire management isn't just good, it borders on revolutionary. In Austria, long braking zones and high-speed cornering factors that usually destroy tires had no visible impact on the MCL39. While Ferrari was forced to lift and coast within laps of the race starting, McLaren operated like a machine immune to wear. And then there's the chemistry between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. These aren't 2 teammates trying to stay out of each other's way, they're executing dual strategy dominance, lap after lap, at full race pace. The kind of harmony that typically takes years to develop. So what's the secret? Some insiders suggest McLaren has found a way to optimize energy dispersion through a unique brake cooling system, reducing thermal spikes that typically trigger degradation. Others believe the secret lies in suspension geometry changes that more evenly distribute load through corners. Whatever the method, it's working and it's terrifying the rest of the grid. Which brings us back to the whispers of investigation. The FIA may remain silent for now, But make no mistake, they're watching, and Horner, for all his bluster, knows how this game is played. Stir the pot, create pressure, cast doubt, and hope it's enough to slow your enemy while you fix your own house. But is it already too late for that? While everyone's talking about the car, the real story is the man behind the wheel, Max Verstappen. He's not just a driver, he's a dynasty in motion. Three-time world champion, the face of Red Bull, the reason they've stayed on top. But now, even he is looking elsewhere, and that should terrify Christian Horner more than anything McLaren is doing. Max has a performance clause in his contract. It's not unusual for top drivers, but the fact that it's being talked about openly in the paddock means one thing. Red Bull has crossed a line. That clause could be triggered as soon as this summer break, and with George Russell now just 9 points behind Max in the standings, the reality is brutal. Without a title fight to anchor him, why would Max stay? He's reportedly sent a list of demands to the team, and one of them, restructuring at the top. If Horner is replaced or at least has his powers curtailed, Max might stick around, but if not, Mercedes remains a very real option. Toto Wolff has kept the door open, and multiple sources say talks are ongoing. This isn't posturing, it's negotiation. And Christian Horner, he's running out of cards to play. The internal power struggles at Red Bull, once dismissed as tabloid drama, are now impacting performance. Adrian Newey's quiet exit, Jonathan Wheatley's departure, the erosion of team unity. Horner has tried to hold on to control, but control without results is just noise. Even the loyalists are questioning whether the team needs a new voice, someone with fresh ideas, a different leadership style, someone like Andrea Seidel. His time at McLaren was short but effective, and though his stint with Audi hasn't gone as planned, many believe he could be the architect of Red Bull's next era. But rebuilding a fractured empire is no easy task, especially when the king might walk out the door. If Verstappen leaves, the dominoes start falling fast. Sponsors, engineers, strategic partnerships, everything is built around Max. And if Red Bull becomes just another midfield team overnight, it will be Horner's legacy on the line. You can hear it in his voice now, the way he talks about just focusing on the next race instead of the championship. That's not strategy, that's survival. And in Formula One, when survival becomes the mission, the war is already lost. The storm isn't coming for Red Bull. It's already here, and the decisions they make in the next few months will define not just their future but the entire next era of Formula One. 2026 is bringing new regulations, a new technical landscape, a chance to rewrite the balance of power. But Red Bull is in no position to take advantage of that shift. Without Adrian Newey's genius in design, without Verstappen's brilliance behind the wheel, without a stable, unified leadership at the top, what exactly does Red Bull have? A confused car, a fractured team, a leadership crisis. And now, a McLaren squad that's not just fast, they're fearless. The Red Bull of 2022 and 2023 felt inevitable, unbeatable. But this version, it's vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable in this sport, the knives come out fast. Other teams aren't just watching, they're circling. And the FIA's attention, already piqued by Horner's comments, could turn into something more, an inquiry, a rule clarification, a scandal. And in Formula One, even the hint of illegality can change everything. The question now is, can Red Bull adapt? Can they admit their flaws, rebuild trust, and rediscover the performance that once made them champions? Or will they go down swinging, blaming everyone else while the empire burns from within? Christian Horner still believes he can steer this ship, but belief isn't enough anymore. Not when your star driver wants out, not when your rivals are pulling away, and not when the very foundation of your success, technical excellence, unity, vision, is crumbling. This isn't just about one bad weekend. This is a reckoning, and it's going to define the next chapter of F1. So we ask you, do you think Horner survives this? Does Red Bull rise again? Or are we watching the slow, painful fall of a once great dynasty? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes, click on the video appearing now. What's coming next might just shock you more than anything Horner has said so far.